I don't ever slow up, no I don't take I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Hello everybody. Kevin went up for parole, I guess a couple weeks ago. A lot of you guys know who I'm talking about, but he's a friend of mine, and he got denied. I found out yesterday. He got a 5-year setback. So we figured, we was kind of expecting another 2-year, you know, we was hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. But he got a 5-year setback. That means he'll be 60 years old when he goes back up. And it's really messed up because his caseworker told him the same thing the institutional parole officer told me. His caseworker said that he talked to the PO, said even though he didn't mention Kevin by name, he knew who he was talking about. He said as long as the victim's family comes up, he's not going to get parole. Excuse me. Kind of sick. They told me the same thing. Yet, on the paper you get on denial, it will say something to, due to the seriousness of the crime, it will be disrespectful to law and society to release you at this time. That's what his said. That's what mine always said. They never give a different answer. It's always the same answer. I have 2 problems with the parole board. Kevin has 3, and I'll tell you about the 3rd one here in a minute. First one is, you can have 2 people in prison, same sentence, came in at the same time. One's doing well, trying, not getting in trouble or anything, they will deny him parole. The other one gets in all kinds of trouble, fights and stuff like this and that, and they'll get him parole. Both of them. Seems like they let the ones they know is going to mess up out before they will the ones who are doing good. It just seems like that to a lot of us that's in prison. Second thing is, I'm not mad at the victim's family or representatives coming up or the victims coming up. They have that right. They should be able to come up. You know, it really concerns them. But the thing I have a problem with is Missouri would deny you based on them coming up. What I'm trying to say is this. Let's say there's somebody in prison that did something bad to you or your family members, and you want them to stay in prison. If you want them to stay in prison, go to the parole hearings. I'm telling you that right now. Go to the parole hearings. Because as soon as you stop going, even if you write a letter saying you don't want this person out, the person is likely to get paroled. That's what happened to me. The first 5 times I went up, I was denied. And each of those times, a representative, the sister of the guy I deleted, would show up. And I never got parole. The first parole hearing she missed, I got parole. So I'm just letting you guys know now, if you got somebody that you're trying to keep in prison, that's how you do it. You go to the parole hearings. I think it's wrong, you know, and they don't say that on the, at least say on the statement, well, because the victim's family showed up, we're not releasing them. You know, be honest about it. Now, Kevin says the 3rd thing is, every time he goes up, there's different parole officers. It wasn't like that when I was going up. I mean, they changed over time, you know, because there's several years between my first one and the last one. But usually, when you went up to one, the next one, you'd see the same people. And they kind of get to know you, you know. But anyway, he gets denied. I personally think he's innocent. And I'll tell you in a minute some of the reasons why I think he's innocent. But that's neither here or there. There's people that don't think he's innocent, and I'm not mad at him for thinking that. He's not either. You know, they lost a loved one. He kind of messed up on himself too, you know. He knew that it happened, and he could have said something to the cop, but he didn't. Even though he was in a drunken stupor, and when they took him home, he could have, the next day, or at least the next day, could have said something, and he didn't. So he kind of put himself in that position, and he says that. Says that all the time. I know that people who were close to him and victim, I know that they think Kevin is guilty. I'm not mad at him for thinking that. They lost a loved one. You can't blame them for not being mad. You can't blame him from them thinking that Kevin is the one who did it and wanting him to stay in prison. You cannot be mad about that. In no way, shape, or form can you be. I'd known Kevin, we were cellies most of the time that I was in prison. I met him at MSP, but we didn't become cellies until I got we both ended up in Farmington. And after that, it didn't matter what prison we went to, we always seemed to end up in the same prison, and we'd end up being cellies. So I got to know him. I got to know how he was. I got to know about his family. He got to know about me, my family, my case. I got to know about his case. But when we was in Farmington, he got transferred to Bowling Green. By this time, you know, I was pretty sure that he was innocent. By reading his paperwork, what he told me, his behavior and everything. After Kevin gets transferred to Bowling Green, this guy comes in, a young guy. We get to working out and stuff, and we're talking about becoming sullies. And I happened to mention to him, I said, the best sully I ever had was a guy named Kevin Hoppy. He goes, who'd you say? And I told him. He goes, is he from St. Louis? I said, yeah, what's going on? He goes, that man's innocent. I said, well, I want to know how the hell you know that. He goes, because I was in a bar with my dad, and this guy gets bragging to my dad about how he got away with it, and that another guy got the blame for it, and said, we just kind of laughed about it and said, yeah, who was it? And he goes, a guy named Kevin Hoppy. He said, so we did research after we left there, like a few days later, and sure enough, I said, I gave him Kevin's name and number. I said, you need to write him and tell him all this stuff. Later on, when I got moved to ended up in Bowling Green, I asked Kevin about that, and he said he never heard from me. But that kind of convinced me. That was just kind of like, you know, final confirmation for me. Anyway, I believe the justice system is messed up. The parole board is messed up. I think they do things wrong. They could do things better. I mean, it would probably be a better way of putting that. There's many innocent people in Missouri prison systems. A lot of them's been exonerated already. You've seen the last 2 or 3 years been Lamar Johnson, this woman in Vandalia, a whole bunch of them. I cannot imagine. I try to all the time, but I cannot imagine. At least I was in prison for taking the guy out that was abusing my little brother. All right, I can deal with that. I cannot imagine sitting in prison knowing I did not do anything. That has to be horrible. And you know, and he goes through these stages of depression, and some days he's all right, then he'll be depressed and this and that. But he's done good. See, the parole board should be basing things on not only the crime, but your conduct while in prison, things you've done in prison. Take all that into account, not just that the victim's family showed up. And he's taking paralegal. He's in college now. He's in the dog program. He's stayed out of trouble as much as he could. I mean, sometimes you just can't avoid being in trouble, getting in trouble in prison. I mean, it's going to happen, especially if you're over there for as long as he's been. But he got arrested in '86. He won't go up again now for 5 more years. I just want to let you guys know about what happened to him and kind of about how the parole board works and everything. And you guys can comment down below what you guys think about the parole board or about the justice system. I really think the justice system's messed up, but give me your thoughts. There's not going to be a wrong answer. Anything you say, you know, that's your opinion, that's your view, and you're entitled to it. And thank you for watching.